phone's sinking. Or, not yet.
Go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Bray.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Mills.
Here.
Alderman Skinner.
Here.
Alderman Soul.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Next item, the invocation led by Jason Williams from Valley Community Church, followed by Pledge of Allegiance from Alderman Skinner.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. God, we thank you that, Lord, you are the one who orchestrates all things. And God, we look to you as a community, God, for direction and for wisdom. God, we pray for those who lead our community, make decisions for us. And God, I pray right now your blessing and your anointing upon each and every one, God, upon their families as well. Those who have been leading, those who will be leading us as a community. God, we just thank you for those who are willing to serve. God, serving is at the very heart of who you are. And so, Lord, we're thankful for those who are willing to do that. And so, God, we just pray your blessing upon each one and their families, God, because, Lord, it can be difficult, and we know that. And so, Lord, we just pray your protection and your safekeeping around each one. Now, Lord, bless this time together tonight, God. Allow wisdom to reign supreme in everything that is done. And, Lord, we thank you. We give you praise for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is the approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
Next up is public comment. We ask the citizens who wish to address the board come forward to the microphone and make sure you've signed in and given your name and address for the record. If this is regarding anything that will be on the public hearing coming up, we ask that you wait till the public hearing time to.
I just simply want to say thank you to Tom Cleaver, our Alderman Ward 1, and Mr. Mills for donating their time and doing an awesome job. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Scott, did you sign in?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, anyone else wish to address the board? All right, seeing none, then move on to consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Alderman Skinner to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Seeing no previous business presentations or resolutions on this portion, we'll move to ordinances.
This is the second reading of ordinance number B25-05. This is an ordinance approving a conditional use permit for a vehicle tow yard.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the second reading of bill number B25-05 and approve it as ordinance number 2466.
I have a motion from Alderman Skinner to approve Bill B25-05 for its second reading, making ordinance 2466. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, this will be roll call.
Okay, Alderman Bray.
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver.
Yes.
Alderman Soul.
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
Alderman Mills.
Yes.
Alderman Knox.
Yes.
And this will be the first reading of bill number B25-06. This is an ordinance acknowledging the certified results of the general election held in the city of Grain Valley, Missouri on April 8th, 2025.
I move that we accept the first reading of bill number B2506 and make it a second reading by title only.
Motion from Alderman Stoll to approve Bill B25-06, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor and members of the board, it is just as the title said. This is just acknowledging the election results from the Jackson County Election Board.
Additional discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
This is the second reading of bill number B25-06. This is an ordinance acknowledging the certified results of the general election held in the city of Grain Valley, Missouri on April 8th, 2025.
I move that we accept the second reading of bill number B 25-06 and approve it as ordinance number 2467.
There's a moment sold to approve bill B 25-06 for its second reading, make an ordinance 2467. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call.
Alderman Sol,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Bray,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver.
Yes.
Just fill out. Just sign it. If I could have Alderman Cleaver. I could go through and read.
It's not too long.
So if I ever see you on a Zoom meeting again, I expect both of you to have these in the background. See them? So the proclamation from us, whereas Alderman Tom Cleaver served the city of Grand Valley as Alderman for Ward 1 for 3 terms from 2019 to 2025. Whereas Alderman Cleaver exhibited dedication and commitment to the city of Grand Valley as Board of Alderman. Whereas Alderman Cleaver served faithfully as the mayor pro tem for 1 year. And whereas Alderman Cleaver represented the Board of Aldermen as the school board liaison. Whereas Alderman Cleaver supported the bond issue that ultimately was passed by the voters of the city of Grand Valley to design, construct, and furnish a new police station that will serve the citizens of Grand Valley for years to come. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the city of Grand Valley Board of Aldermen and I, Mayor Mike Todd, express our appreciation to Alderman Tom Cleaver for his dedication to performing his duties as Alderman representing Ward 1. I just want to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure working with you, and thanks for all the dedication and sacrifice you made for the city. All the bills. Whereas Alderman Gary Mills served the city of Grand Valley as Alderman for Ward 2 for 2 terms from 2021 to 2025. And whereas Alderman Mills exhibited dedication and commitment to the city of Grand Valley Board of Aldermen. And whereas Alderman Mills served faithfully as mayor pro tem for 1 year. And whereas Alderman Mills represented the Board of Aldermen as a special event ambassador at many special events, including ribbon cuttings of new to local businesses and proclamation presentations. And whereas Alderman Mills supported the bond issue that ultimately was passed by the voters of the city of Grand Valley to design, construct, and furnish a new police station that will serve the citizens of Grand Valley for years to come. Now therefore, be it proclaimed the city of Grand Valley Board of Aldermen and I, Mayor Mike Todd, express our appreciation to Alderman Gary Mills for his dedication to performing his duties as Alderman representing Ward 2. Again, thanks for. Thank you. And don't worry, I know you're just helping us prepare and all that. On Friday. Yep. I'll hear that. All right. Thank you. All right. All right. You want to do it? You didn't want to get there? Next item be elected officials' oath of office. If I could have James Myers, Lisa Lindberg, and Brian Bray come forward. Jamie, she will do the swearing in.
We'll have you guys do it together. We'll go right here for picture state your name, say your own name, during my part, and then when I say you are, for the office of, you will say Alderman or whichever one you're representing, okay? You'll sign me at the end, and then we'll have you guys go to your place. You ready? Okay, right hand up, and then I state your name.
I, Frank Brink,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of.
for the office of Alderman, Ward 3.
I support the constitutions of the United States
I support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of state statutes
the provisions of state statutes
affecting fourth-class cities,
affecting fourth-class cities,
and the ordinances of the city of Green Valley, Missouri,
and the ordinances of the city of Green Valley, Missouri,
and I faithfully conduct myself in office
and faithfully conduct myself in office
and respect the confidences and information
and respect the confidences and information
which come into my possession, so help me God.
which come into my possession, so help me God.
Next item then be new business. We have a liquor license for JKEHP 3 LLC doing business as Iron Kettle Tap House.
So this is the first presentation for a liquor license application that has been submitted. You might have seen some things on social media about this. So there will be new ownership for our current Iron Kettle Brewery, but they are renaming it to Iron Kettle Tap House. The application was sent to the police department for their review. We're just pending the highway patrol fingerprints, but everything else has been received in good order. We are waiting on the permanent state of Missouri liquor license. We have the temporary, and we're waiting on Jackson counties, but they usually wait for your approval before they give that to me. The owner is here one of the owners is here in the audience if you have any questions for him. Otherwise, the approval request will be at the next board meeting.
Anyone have any questions, discussion? Seeing none, then we'll move on to public hearings. First item under public hearing is Auto Tow and Recovery requesting a conditional use permit for a vehicle tow yard.
Yeah, we'll turn over to Mr. Martin.
So Auto Tow and Recovery LLC is requesting a conditional use permit for a vehicle tow yard to be located at 205 Northwest Harris Street. The current zoning of the property is C1 Central Business District. The conditional use permit, as recommended, is for the length of 2 years upon approval. The applicant must also provide a site obscuring fence to operate the business if approved. All property owners were within 185 feet, were notified by letter, and this was also posted in the Examiner newspaper.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, as this is a public hearing, we'll open it up for comments both for or against. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the vehicle tow yard? Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. Second public hearing we have is for a City Code Chapter 400 Zoning Regulation Amendment, Section 400.290 for off-street parking and loading regulations for parking in the rear yard.
Again, I'll turn it over to Mr. Martin.
So this would be amending the current code section 400.290 for off-street parking and loading regulations by limiting parking in the rear of yard. Under section 10, additional parking regulations, we would be adding subsection 2 that reads, no more than 2 of the following items are allowed to park in the rear yard on property occupied with the residents of zoning R1, R1A, R1B, and R1C with lot sizes less than 0.75 acres. Those items would include automobiles, boats, unloaded utility trailers, recreation vehicles, non-motorized campers, including fifth wheel trailers, bumper pull trailer, hybrid trailer, pop-up campers, and teardrop trailers. This amendment would come with the exception, and it reads, the storage of the vehicle / item on private property so located upon the property as not to be readily visible from any public place or from any surrounding private property, nor shall these subsections apply to any lot or parcel of private property 0.75 acres or more in size. And again, public notification was posted in the Examiner newspaper for this public hearing.
Any questions or discussion? All right, as this is a public hearing, we'll open it up for comments both for and against. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak for or against the parking in the rear yard?
Dale Arnold, 31603 East Ryan Road. This particular ordinance doesn't affect me, and I applaud the effort that has gone into it by the Planning and Zoning Committee. But the exception paragraph that was added to this basically makes everything prior to that mute. If a neighbor wants to complain or someone drives by and wants to complain about the item being in your backyard, it's going to cause considerable issues with law enforcement and code enforcement trying to deal with stuff because everything currently being parked there is grandfathered. So, and if it's over a certain size, then it won't apply to that. It gives significant barriers for it to be properly enforced because there are so many variables in this particular ordinance as it's written up. I think if you would remove that exception and leave it just that you're allowed to park 2 items on that size lot, then maybe that would be acceptable. But with the exception on there, anybody can drive by and see it in your yard. And once they find out with that exception that somebody gets complained on, and then the next thing you know, everybody up and down the street's going to get complained on because the guy that just got told on is going to go looking to see who else violates it. And now he's going to turn in everybody up and down the block. It may or may not apply to them. It may not apply to some neighbors in other parts of the town that they might complain about. It's going to make a considerable issue for our code enforcement to try and fairly deal with this particular ordinance with that exception on there. So I would hope that you would either remove that exception or vote down this ordinance as it is written. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the public hearing?
Good evening. My name is Brian Schoengert. I live at 780 East Ryan Road, and I'm here as well to speak against the ordinance as written. I've stated multiple times that up here for the same thing, speaking out against the ordinances that restrict what we can and can't park in our backyards. This one in particular, I do think it's an overstep of government, the local government. It's oppressive and restrictive to be imposed by the city government. Specifically, as the other gentleman mentioned earlier, that the exception states that if it is visible from any public place or from any surrounding private property. Where I live at 780 East Ryan Road, my backyard, my property sets below street level. Ryan Road sets above my property. So anybody driving by on Ryan Road would be able to look into my backyard. Even if I put up a 6-foot fence, privacy fence around my yard, anybody that is familiar with most travel trailers and campers know that the height of those trailers is going to be greater than 6 feet tall. So even if I put in a 6-foot privacy fence, which I believe is the maximum height allowed by city code, anybody driving by is going to be able to see that I have an RV or something parked in my backyard. And based on the exceptions in here, somebody can see it and they can complain, and I would be restricted on what I can and cannot park in my own backyard. It's my backyard. I pay for it. This ordinance is solely based on aesthetics. If we are going to base city ordinances solely based on aesthetics, then we should do something about the 7 used car lots that are all up and down the main street, the main drag of the city. To me, those are just as bad to look at as seeing what is in somebody's backyard. Thank you for your time.
Can we get clarification on something now, or do we need to wait until it's up?
Probably wait until it's up. Yeah.
It might help, but okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just I need clarification on the exception rule before we go any further. So my understanding, the exception is saying the opposite of what the two individuals who've come up and spoke so far are believing it to mean. My understanding, when this went through the meeting, I want to make sure it reads the same way, is that if your yard is smaller than 0.75, and say you have a privacy fence and nobody can see in your yard, none of this applies to you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And to the earlier gentleman that was speaking, if they had an RV parked in their yard and their yard was smaller than 0.75, there wouldn't be a problem. They can have 2 of those, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak on a public hearing? I will close that public hearing. Next item be resolutions. First resolution is R25-26. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with Quality Custom Construction for the 2025 concrete replacement and paving program.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R25-26.
And Mr. Alderman Knox to approve resolution R25-26. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, we put this item out and received bids back on the concrete portion. So this is everything from replacement of damaged curbs, sidewalks, updating ADA ramps. A lot of that coincides with the pavement maintenance that we'll be doing. But Quality Custom Construction was the low bid. They are the ones that have done our concrete work for the last few years, and we have been happy with them. So we would ask for your approval of that agreement to get started.
Have any questions or discussion? Seeing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Next up then be ordinances.
This will be the first reading of Bill Number B25-07. This is an ordinance approving a conditional use permit for a vehicle tow yard.
That's what you, Brian.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is for B2507, correct? Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept Bill 2507 for its first read.
I got motion by Alderman Bray to approve Bill B25-07 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is the ordinance that goes along with the first public hearing we had, which would be allowing a conditional use permit for a vehicle tow yard.
Do you have any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
And this will be the first reading of Bill Number B25-08. This is an ordinance amending Title IV Land Use, Section 400.290, off-street parking and loading regulations by limiting parking in the rear yard.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill B 24-08. Bring it back by title only at our next regular scheduled meeting.
I got a motion by Alderman Knox to approve Bill B 25-08 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. I have a second.
Second.
Skinner. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, is the ordinance that goes along with the second public hearing. To, I guess, add on or clarify again what Alderman Skinner was asking about, when you look at the proposed ordinance, in the ordinance, the bold part is kind of the new, and in there it says, no more than 2 of the following things with lot sizes less than 0.75. So that 0.75 was kind of the threshold. And then on the end part of that, where the exception is, it was saying that none of that, if you're over 0.75, it doesn't apply. And if you're less than 0.75, but it cannot be seen, it's on private property and cannot be seen or is not readily visible from a public place or surrounding private property, then it, again, is null and void. It doesn't apply. So the exceptions were to pulling it out. It was saying if you meet any of those things, the ordinance doesn't apply to you.
So I'm a little confused on that. By, if you can see it from private property. So I've got a privacy fence. My next door neighbor has a privacy fence. The neighbor next to him has a privacy fence, and I can sit on my deck and see 4 yards over. So in other words, if I can set 4 houses down and look at Ryan's house and he's got a vehicle parked back there, I can complain?
Yep. So I think the intent of the language or the exception was kind of looking at what a normal subdivision would be, where you have all of the lots kind of backed up to each other, and then trying to account for those situations where maybe that's not the case, or you have an extremely wooded area or something like that. But the general rule is you can have 2 for any normal subdivision. And Alderman Skinner, anybody that was in that workshop could add to that. But that was my take on the attempt for going with that language, was kind of in a normal subdivision setting. Yes, like you can only have 2 of those things, but trying to account for some of those situations that maybe isn't a normal subdivision, kind of giving an exception in there to help those people out.
So sitting on my deck and I can still see 4 houses over in a normal housing addition, my neighbor cannot have it?
You could have 2.
You can have 2 of them. I mean, on a lot size 0.75 or smaller, 3 cars or 3 RVs or 3 boats. It's a lot of stuff. And
I still don't like the way it's written, because that might be the intent. That's not the way it's written. And down the road, I think that can be a real problem.
Mm-hmm. What do you, when you say that's not the way it's written, what do you?
Well, you say the intent when we wrote it was for this to be done this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think
it's not clearly written that way.
So I think you have the base ordinance, and that's the 2 of any of those things, and then the exception is kind of not the norm, it's the exception. So it's if you're over 0.75, it doesn't apply. And then if you're in a situation, you have an extremely treed backyard or something like that, I don't know. Or maybe you don't back up to anybody else. Nobody can see it. It's giving an out. It's not making a blanket ordinance for everyone.
You just prefer to just remove that part, just keep it at 2 so there's no confusion?
Yeah, I think that's because it's written that you can't see it from any public property or anybody else's private property. And like I say, you sit on your deck, you look right across all those other privacy fences.
Well, entertain a motion to.
Well, I was just going to say, just for clarity purposes, so as Alderman Skinner said, is you can park 2 as of right, the way this is described, right? So an RV and a boat, or an RV and a lawnmower, whatever the things that are allowed. What the exception says then is you can't have the 3rd one unless it's not visible from someone else's property. So if you were a person who lived on a lot that was less than 0.75, and you had your RV and a car, and you still wanted to park a boat back there, if you put bushes in, for example, to shield the view of the item, then you could add even the third one in that circumstance with the exception. If you take the exception away, then two's it.
Yeah, when we were going through this in the planning session with planning and zoning, there was a few situations that kept getting thrown out, and some of them were like on Snybar, and there were some pictures that were shown, and it's very flat ground, and somebody had like a boat or or a trailer parked back there, and they had like a chain link fence. If they would just put a wood fence up, nobody can see it from the road, right? Like there's nobody to complain. So why should we, as the board, limit what they can put back there? If they want to park 20 trailers back there, but nobody can see it, their neighbors can't see it, it's flat ground, why should we limit that?
I agree 100%. My problem is if you can see it from any private property.
Yeah.
There again, I can sit on my deck, it's all flat, but they're raised ranches. I can sit on my deck and look six houses down. I mean, I can see all the way to the next corner, 6 houses. So you're looking right over it. So with the way it's written, that says I can complain that you have something parked in your backyard 6 houses over.
And I agree with that.
But if that same person 6 houses over put up some sort of a hedge or some trees to park that in, where all you could see was the foliage and not the item, then the code enforcement officer at that time would say, look, I can stand here, I understand, but I can't see the boat, I can't see the RV, therefore I can't write a ticket.
Even though we can see it over the privacy fence.
So again, it has to do with whether they are shielding it, right? Privacy fence, bushes, trees, whatever would be different ways that you could essentially camouflage, if you will, the effect of the third item.
Like I say, that's my hang up, is the camouflage with a privacy fence when I can see it. Privacy fence is 6 foot tall. My deck's 11 foot tall. The house next door's on each side of me's decks are 11 foot tall. I can see it. Unless you put cottonwoods that are 25, 30 feet tall, I can see it. That's my hang up. With that in there, that you're not allowed to see it from any private property, that just doesn't, I can see across Main Street and see on the back side of privacy fences over there.
I think we had public comment already, I believe.
I think the leaf issue is only good for a couple of months out of the year.
That's my whole hang up with the whole thing, is not being able to see it from any private property, which to me,
I agree with everything, and I don't mean to interrupt. I agree with everything that Alderman Knox is saying. I have a lot of other hangups on this. One, I don't see who's going to enforce this? Police department enforcing it? Code inspector enforcing it? Who do we intend to enforce this?
Yeah, it's a code section, zoning.
So he's going to go out, take a report. He's going to have to come back, check the plat, make sure that it's 0.75 or less. Or are we just going to issue the citation, and then the person has to come into court and prove that his lot is more than 0.57 acres? Who are we putting the burden on here?
Yeah, I don't think checking the lot sizes anymore is very difficult, because it's just off the county's parcel viewer. But
difficult or not, it's as a resident of this town, if I'm issued a citation, it better be a correct citation, or I'm going to have an issue, and I don't want to have to go.
Well, you're going to get,
but
you're going to get a warning or notification.
So code is going to verify the lot size.
Yeah, based on the county's parcel.
My other issue with this is during the public hearing, pictures were brought in. Not a single picture showed anybody in violation. So the people in support of this brought evidence to prove why they're in support of this, and it didn't prove that anybody's in violation. I drove all over town looking for violations. I've spoke to more people than I can count at this point, and the vast majority of them are against this. They don't want us in their backyards.
and I, like Alderman Bray, you all know, have ridden all over my 90% of my ward. I don't go north of 40 highway on the golf cart, but I've spoke to a lot of people, and they don't want it. Now, true, a large part of my ward is Old Town, and they've been doing this for 50 years, and now you want to take that away. So when you out and talk to people, actually go out and talk to people, not just your next door neighbor, not just the hearsay. When you actually stop and say, hey, the city's considering this, what do you think? And they tell you, no, I don't want them in my business. We didn't see it tonight, but we've seen it last time, and we voted it down 4-1, that this place was packed with people saying, we do not want this. So I'm really kind of confused why we're even discussing it again when we had a 4-1 vote against it. But I'm really hung up on that, can't see it from any place. And like I say, with the people I've spoken to, they don't want it.
I don't think it's an issue here in town. I'm trying to be polite here. A lot of what I've heard for people that support this on this board and other boards is my neighbor has something in their backyard and it bothers me. And that's not why we should be passing ordinances.
No, I think we need to vote what the people of this town have spoken for and said. And like I say, if you've gone out and actually went out and spoke to people, they don't want it. They're against it. They feel it's government overreach.
Yeah, so I would comment on how it came back. So that was direction from the board after the last go around was to have staff go back again, have a workshop with P&Z and the board, and then have it go through. So that's the.
I had people come up to me and address me and wanted to bring it back up, and they just wanted to make a compromise between the two sides, and that's why I agreed to bring it back up for discussion. And when we had the workshop, I thought we had a general consensus between the group of us, between planning and zoning and the board, that we actually had something written down that like both sides were like, they didn't get everything they wanted, but they compromised for that one thing, and that's what we came up with. So that's why we're here right now for this.
Yeah, and where the 0.75 came in, so, you know, I don't think this, I mean, I agree with the whole, you know, the government shouldn't be messing in people's backyards, but for lots, I mean, I live on a lot that is smaller than 0.75, so I mean, this would directly, you know, impact my neighborhood, my lot. You know, would I be okay with my neighbor having 3 RVs parked in their backyard? I don't know if you could fit 3 RVs in some of these yards that are very small. I mean, 0.75 acres is a very small lot, right? You know, and that's where I wanted to put that threshold in, and that's where that number came in. I mean, if you are a person with a 1 acre lot, why is the government telling you what you can do on that? If you want to, you know, I think the ordinance today, tell me if I'm wrong, I think you can build an outbuilding on a property that's, I see Joe like kind of looking at, well, not official asterisk, but you know, we shouldn't be telling people on lots, you know, it's not a public health issue at that point, right? Where people are just throwing so much stuff in the backyard where if there's a fire, people can't get in the backyards. You know, some of these houses, especially like in the older part of the city, are so small, the backyards are, that, you know, people are jamming stuff in there. I mean, it does become a public safety issue at a certain point. And so the idea being that we only want to limit it in situations where, you know, like I said, I mean, it's more of a public issue at that point. And so that's where the 0.75 came in. And then for the fence thing, again, if none of your neighbors, if nobody passing by can see in your backyard, why does anybody care what's going on in your backyard, right? So again, if you're parking trailers in your backyard and you put up a 6-foot tall privacy fence, and nobody can see it, the government shouldn't be in your backyard, you know. But if your neighbor can be on their deck and they look at it and they don't like it and it's in violation of this, then yeah, give the city a call. But again, you know, if the lots are big enough, and I agree that 0.75 is big enough, you can park what you want. Like, why is the city should stay out of your property?
So you said if, and it's a big if somebody has it. I haven't seen anybody have it, is my point. I haven't seen anybody with just a whole backyard full of stuff. I've not seen it. And I've looked. I've not seen it. The other option, and to kind of address what the second gentleman said, is we shouldn't be passing ordinances based on aesthetics, and I brought this up at the workshop. I personally don't like above ground pools. I don't like the way they look. I don't like trampolines. I don't like the way they look. If we're gonna start doing ordinances just because we don't like the way something looks, that's a very slippery slope.
Any additional discussion or comments?
I just have a clarification question if I could, just to make sure I'm understanding. So when I'm sitting on my deck in my house, looking at my neighbor, he's got two things parked in his backyard. He's good at two, regardless of whether I can see him or not. If there's a third RV, trailer or something, that's when it becomes an issue. Whether there's a privacy fence or not, it's at the third if somebody can see it.
If the lot is less than 0.75.
0.75, correct. Okay, just making sure that I understand. There've been a lot of,
The 0.75, if you look at the neighborhoods, like pretty much, it's almost every neighborhood yard is going to be under the 0.75. I have a pretty big yard, and I live in the middle of down off Snibar and Ridgeview, and it's 0.4, and it's still, it looks like a pretty big yard. So I mean, it's covering basically your neighborhoods, not the outer. There's a few exceptions within the neighborhoods that have like bigger acreage, but it's just covering basically your neighborhood yards.
You know, everybody kind of keeps throwing out 3 RVs. We're not gonna see that. What if you got 3 waiver owners? They're little bitty. They're 8 feet long. They're sitting on a trailer. You got 3 of them, you're in violation. But I can see them from my deck 3 yards over. But Billy Bob's got 3 wave runners, and I don't like them because I had a run-in once on the lake with somebody with a wave runner, so I want those gone.
And what defines a loaded versus unloaded utility trailer? And what's the difference? Why does it matter? If someone complains about my unloaded utility trailer and I walk out and throw a 2-foot long piece of 2x4 on it and say, now it's loaded, I'm good?
Does loaded fall under something else?
That I'm not entirely for sure. That was, again, some of the direction we got from that workshop and previous conversation.
Honestly, doesn't loaded fall under something else if it's got brush or something on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the wording could be changed, but I think the idea was, yeah, you have a trailer loaded full of brush or whatever like it's just full, like it's an open trailer that's just full of stuff. But I mean, that was never like a make or break thing language wise. Like that could be.
It just seems weird
changed.
that it was put in there specifically as unloaded.
Do we have anything else? All right, seeing none then, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, nay.
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 Do you need the poll, Mayor?
All right. Next up then be city attorney's reports.
Can I get a count on that?
4-2, Bray and Knox were nay.
No report, Mayor.
All right, next up is city attorney's report. No report.
No report.
I thought you said that. All right, next up, city administrator and staff reports.
Just a couple things. During one of the most recent rain events, I can't remember which one now, it's been a week or 2 ago, and we had water coming in the building official's office, so that's something that we're going to be looking at. That's kind of a different area than we had. I thought we had that issue fixed for a while, so we'll be looking at that. The only other thing I had is the second meeting in May is the 26th, which is Memorial Day, so a holiday where offices would be closed. So I think on that, we would be fine with canceling that meeting. Is just looking at how the business is shaking out. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, so we'll know better next time if we need to.
Yeah, but I mean, if we know now, we can schedule everything out to not have that be.
Can I make a motion to cancel the meeting on Memorial Day?
Sure. I motion Alderman Skinner, right, a second.
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 All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of canceling the Memorial Day, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Is that it for staff?
That is it, yes.
All right. Next up then be Board of Alderman reports and comments. Alderman Sol,
Nothing.
Alderman Lindberg,
Nothing.
Alderman Bray.
Just like to say welcome to Alderman Lindberg and Alderman Myers. The other thing that I had brought up to me was some people have said on the YouTube stream that the audio is not great. I don't know if that's a technical issue or it's us not speaking into our mics issue, but
Okay.
if we could look into that.
Yep.
Alderman Skinner.
Just want to thank the police department and all the first responders who responded to the incident up north. You guys did a great job, so appreciate that.
Alderman Knox.
I have nothing.
Alderman Myers.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's helped me out in this transition, and just thank everybody who took the time to come out to vote, even though there was no opponents. I just appreciate the time that people put in, so thank you.
Next up, the mayor's reports. Just one thing to report. We will look at doing liaisons for boards next time. So if anyone is interested in any specific appointments, let me know, and we'll try to do our best to get you on what you're interested in going to and all that. So that's all I have, other than welcome aboard to our new folks, and we'll try not to make it too hard on you. Okay. Now, do we have a need for exec session? All right. We do not have a need for exec session, so unless someone has something additional, no, we will adjourn.